My father, now of blessed memory, used to tell people that the reason I became a minister was because I hated my grandmother's funeral. It's too simplistic, of course, but he wasn't entirely wrong. My grandmother, my mother's mother, died when I was 30. She was nominally Catholic. By that I mean she never attended church, but paid her church dues and was astoundingly conversant in the language of shame. Cussed like a sailor, and I don't mean to disparage those in the Navy, and could stop on a dime and say the rosary. She was not a particularly kind woman, and certainly not to her daughter. She drank too much, smoked cigars, ballroom danced with grace, worked in a shoe factory, and had opinions with opinions. She was 4'9" and was a fiery character. Stories of her were legion. And yet at her service, there wasn't a single story told. We could have been burying anyone that day. I didn't know much about grief or ritual back then. I only knew that I always wanted things to mean something. Flash forward to me becoming a minister. I guess I should have seen it coming. I was asked to officiate not just memorial services, but weddings too. And by that time, I had grown more accustomed to death, to the human need to grieve and to gather, to name the profundity of the loss and to celebrate the enduring lesson in quirky humanity of the one who had died. I quickly learned that I wasn't alone in wanting that ritual of goodbye to mean something. Then there were the weddings. And I was so excited to be asked because I am a person who loves love. And while I bow to those who have chosen a single life, I am companioned by my reality that the practice of being married has been one of the greatest teachers of my lifetime. And so I brought that energy with me to the wedding planning. How distraught I often was in those early days that others, by that I mean those whose wedding I was planning to officiate, did not share my approach. The wedding was, it seemed to me, a runway for fashion choices, and the surface itself was a speed bump on the way to the party and gifts. It was this realization that had me slow the roll. I named for these couples my peculiar, and now occupationally reinforced, predilection for meaning. I told them that regardless of how long they had been together, this wedding, this ritual, was a witnessed celebration, a witnessed declaration of their promises to one another. Thus, if I was to officiate their wedding, there would be homework. Yep, I'm just that much fun. Because I wanted their ritual to meaningfully represent them. Mind you, so I gave them a series of questions, actually, and I posed those questions to them, and I said always to not talk about it until they were each ready to answer. I'm always looking out for my introvert siblings. So I asked them, if you could give a gift of the Spirit to your partner, what would you give them? Again, I said, now don't talk about it. The only thing you can ask is, I've done my homework, are you ready to talk? And once they both had said yes, they could talk. And I named for them, before they went off with this homework, I named for them our tendency to think of gifts only in terms of things we can buy for each other. And yet most of us have come to know that the most important things are those we can't buy. Health, a good friend, a loving partner. So then, gifts of the Spirit invite us to enter into that world of the intangible and the priceless. And in deciding upon such a gift, we need to be grounded in love for something or someone and imagine a something that might ease their path, might help them grow into their full becoming. What would it be? I invited them to imagine. And the answers, when they would come back and share with me, the answers were incredibly intimate and tender. It wasn't the grit and gristle of the daily grind, producing the passive-aggressive. I bet if you stretched yourselves, you know what I mean. I would give them the gift of neatness so they'd pick up after them damn selves. I would give them the gift of an inner alarm clock so they weren't always running late. I'd give them the gift of a willingness to ask for directions so we didn't have to drive around lost all the time. Now, this wasn't that. This was the stuff of seeing and holding the best in each other in a way that allowed the beloved to bloom into it. It was prayer and blessing. It was imagination and hope. I would give you the gift of knowing that your scar is part of your beauty. I would give you the gift of being as kind to yourself as you are to others. I would give you the gift of your sibling meeting you halfway. I would give you the gift of your parent apologizing and then telling you that they see you and love you and who you've become. I would give you the gift of confidence so that you could live into all of your talent. So many beautiful things, such gifts. And then their wedding became this grounded testament to what they love about each other and also to the larger self they saw in each other. Some of us might remember Sue Monk Kidd's book, The Book of Longings, in which Yaltha, the main character's aunt, said to Anna, the main character, "I see the largeness in you." You see, Yaltha was encouraging the potential and inner strength of her niece. And with her words, she blesses Anna. She blesses her because she can see a part of Anna that Anna maybe can't even see herself, a part of her soul and heart that is not defined or limited by social convention. And that's always my hope for a couple. That they not only choose each other, but choose and hope the best in and for each other because they see the largeness in each other. It strikes me this is a worthy endeavor. Not just for a betrothed couple, but for those of us who spend too much of our days grinding on about all the things that are wrong and stupid and scary. We've got to keep our hearts wide open, though the waves want to push us around. We've got to keep our hearts wide open until our faith brings us to solid ground. That really is the something real we're called to do together. And this summer, for the next 6 weeks, some of our members will actually speak to us about the gift of the Spirit that they would give our church. 6 weeks of gifts starting next week. I don't know what they'll be, but I know they will help inform who we will become. Walter Brueggemann, the preeminent Christian theologian who died just recently, wrote, "The prophetic tasks of the church are to tell the truth in a society that lives in illusion. To tell the truth in a society that lives in illusion, to grieve in a society that practices denial, and to express hope in a society that lives in despair. It's our job, he said, to imagine God's future and do the prophetic things that will help that make that future real. So to imagine God's future, to imagine beloved community, to imagine the whole and holy place where all are included and none are left out, to see things as they are and not give up on what yet might be. Now, I can't help but think of that on this weekend, which celebrates the 249th birthday of our nation, where there are so many differences among us on who we might become, so many disappointments and betrayals, so much distrust. It seems we have not only lost track of our hope, but we no longer see the largeness in us, in our country. And yet here we are. It is our job, says Brueggemann, to tell the truth in a society that lives in illusion, to grieve in a society that practices denial, and to express hope in a society that lives in despair, to see things as they are and not give up on what they might be. Recently, I read in an article in which a retired minister wrote these words: "Not to imagine God's future is to cede it to those who imagine a lesser thing." Yeah? Not to imagine what could be is to cede it to those who would imagine and do imagine a lesser thing. It is why each year on this holiday weekend I return again and read again the words of Langston Hughes. Let America be America again. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream, the dreamer's dream. Let it be the great, strong land of love where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. It goes on, and if you haven't read it recently, I commend it to you. It is good, you see. It is good to root oneself in the reality of those who weren't fully counted in our nation's founding documents, and yet challenge us to live into our ideals. Maybe it is a song like Side by Side by Wilder Adkins, singing to us about Dr. Martin Luther King's words and dream that none of us are free until all of us are free. Maybe it is to listen or read the words of the Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III, who exhorts us to remain the stewards of democracy, the midwives of dreams, the holders of a future yet to be born. Someone who is not afraid to name that the bad news for democracy is that it is midnight in America. And yet the good news is that it is midnight, because as soon as you reach midnight, that means a new day has arrived and morning is coming. Celebrating our country in its troubled and complex place is not easy. It is not easy just now to see its largeness. It is akin to Wendell Berry in joining us to be joyful, though we have considered all the facts. And yet, we need people who can still find it and can remind us to see it, to see the largeness of what we were meant to be in our full becoming. Because when we can see it, we can begin to contemplate what gifts of the Spirit we would offer it. Perhaps a willingness to accept its own imperfection. Perhaps a faithfulness to its original message of inclusion. Perhaps a reminder that it truly was birthed by some very radical ideas for its time, and those radical ideas have yet to be realized. Somehow it seems to me that if we could return to seeing the largeness and hold at our center our deepest wish, we might just put our energy in ways that are not only useful, but life-giving. May it be so. All my relations, Shanti, Shalom.